fuck men and you don't need them. Yeah, I do, actually, because
That video is a really great take on how women and even men, by extension, have been lied to by feminists for the last 20 years on what makes for a meaningful, fulfilling life. You know, because men and women need each other. But it made me think of this scene in Devil Wears Prada, where she's wearing the blue sweater, and also like where these feminist ideas come from. Should have said those things in reverse. But basically, like, where did these feminist ideas come from that ultimately get disseminated into the zeitgeist, the cultural conversations that we have with each other? Where does that come from and how does that work? So here's an example of a modern feminist academic who is well known and espousing garbage. Actually, before I get to that one, I'm going to share with you one of my favorites that just kind of doesn't make sense unless you start to get into conspiracy theory territory, and that'll make sense in a second here. But yeah, so the CIA used to bankroll a feminist, Gloria Steinem. Go look it up. They funded an organization that funded her. It's this whole thing. But yes, she was like a big feminist speaker in the 60s and thereafter. Why is the CIA involved in feminism? Just for more proof, I just searched on DuckDuckGo. I recommend that over Google for this kind of thing. This is an article about her on the CIA website. Yeah, back on track here. This is the original feminist I was talking about, Sophie Lewis. I just found this article randomly a while ago. We can't have a feminist future without abolishing the family. I mean, this type of insane rhetoric could only exist within academia in the ivory tower, insulated from the real world. But that's the key there. Lewis is a scholar at the University of Pennsylvania, or recently was anyway. And it reminds me of the scene in Devil Wears Prada where Meryl Streep points out to Anne Hathaway's character that random kind of looking blue sweater she was wearing was actually cerulean blue, and she traces this whole history of the sweater back to a mainstream high ivory tower type designer who decided to introduce that color sort of to the common through the rest of the fashion industry. So Lewis and Steinem are that same type of person. They espouse these ideas where people are like, yeah, that'll never happen. Right? Like you see the Fashion Week clothing, you're like, people never wear that. But then some form of that idea eventually trickles down to the point where you hear that from someone that you know.